So, what did my 12-year-old teach me about high stakes conflict resolution with powerful stakeholders when there's a legal contract in play and you have absolutely no choice but to work with your stakeholder? My name is Ravi Verma. I'm the org whisperer at orgwhisperers.com. And I learned a lot about conflict resolution from a recent interaction with my 12-year-old. So she came home from school with a contract for expectations in the science laboratory, fairly standard contract. And I decided that we would sit down and read it paragraph by paragraph because she had to sign, and so did I, to acknowledge that we both understood what the terms were and that we would honor the expectations. And if not, we would acknowledge the consequences. So we wouldn't say to the teacher, hey, you never told me. So we sit down. I think it's going to be fairly simple, standard contract. How complicated can it be? Right, wrong. So we go through the contract, and there are three clauses around animals. And my daughter is an animal lover. And the contract says you are going to agree to handle animals in the way we expect. And it also talks about dissection. And my daughter's like, wait a minute, I'm not going to sign this. First of all, how are we going to be interacting with animals? And second, I'm not going to dissect an animal, dead or alive. I noticed myself getting really furious. I was so angry. And I remembered that when it comes to conflict resolution, you can either be furious or curious. And if you are not curious, it escalates and it's a rapid descent to the bottom. So I disengaged my curiosity gear and I tried to engage my curiosity gear. And I started getting curious. Why am I getting angry? And I remembered my life coach Joy Perkins telling me, Ravi, anger is a fear based response. So I started realizing, oh, a part of me is now getting terrified that something bad is about to happen. So I started getting curious and I started talking to that part. Sweetheart, tell me what's going on. And the part said two things. One is, hey, this is a standard contract that applies to the entire school district. And if she says I'm refusing to go to the science laboratory, what options do I have? What if they kick her out of the school district? The second fear I had is, now what's going to happen next? I'm going to try to negotiate with the science teacher, and if she gets upset, will she exact some retribution on my daughter and make life miserable? Right? So these are the fears that are going on. So I try to be kind and loving to that part of me and say, hey, just hang on, sit on the couch. I promise you, we'll address your concerns. I don't know how yet, but would you be willing to just sit down and see how this plays out? And the part said, okay, the part just wanted to be heard. So that part sits down. So I go back from curiosity to curiosity. And then I start asking my daughter, what's your concern, sweetheart? And my daughter said, Daddy, you always told me to be truthful, and I'm not going to sign anything that's not truthful. So I said, oh crap, now what do I do? So I sent a mail to my daughter's science teacher and I said, hey, we have a request and a concern. The concern is my daughter loves animals. She's worried about dissection. So could you tell us what does it mean when the contract talks about interacting with animals and dissection? Luckily, the science teacher was sweet and kind. She responded the next morning. She said, we're not going to touch any animals. This is a standard contract that goes all the way to high school. So please reassure your daughter, everything's fine. I'm like, all right, great. Email comes in the morning, getting ready for school. I'm like, okay, fantastic. It's going to be easy. I showed the email to my daughter. She reads every word. And I said, okay, are you ready to sign? She says, no. Like, man, I start noticing myself getting furious again. Again, disengage curiosity, get curiosity. And then I asked myself, the part that was getting angry, what are you scared of, sweetheart? Then the part says, I'm scared of upsetting the science teacher. She was reasonable. She said you don't have to handle animals. Now what's the problem? And then I told that part, sweetheart, just hold on. Let's see what's going on. Are you okay? Would you be okay with me talking to my daughter? And she says, okay, fine. So I asked my daughter, so sweetheart, you said that the reason you wouldn't sign this contract is because you were not comfortable handling animals. Now your teacher said you're not going to handle animals. Help me understand why you're not going to sign it. She says, the teacher said it's a standard contract all the way till high school. And if I sign it now, even if I'm not going to handle animals in sixth grade, if it means that I'm okay with handling animals and dissecting them all the way till 12th grade, I'm not going to sign it. I said, so now I get the disconnect. So I told her, this contract is only for sixth grade. Every year you get a new contract and you will get an opportunity to have this conversation next year and every year from there on. She was like, okay, and she signs it. Luckily, got to score on time. So much to unpack here, but I'm going to leave you with some questions. What did you learn from this exercise or this interaction between my daughter and me and myself and my parts? And how is this similar or dissimilar with high stakes conflicts that you navigate on a day to day basis in a professional context, especially around legal terms and conditions, and especially when you might feel you don't have a choice but to engage in the relationship? I hope this was useful. Until our next conversation, thank you. Bye bye.